Monday, 4th of July weekend. I wasn't sure if today was a holiday or not. I had to look at the post office and they said they're open today. And you know, they're the first to be closed and then the banks. So I decided we're still going to do a show on Monday through Friday this week. But I'd like to welcome you. My name's George Gary and you're in my kitchen again. Where I think this is show 79 or 80, somewhere around in there. I'm counting them now because when we hit 100, we're going to reevaluate and maybe go once a week or twice a week, something that's longer than just the what we're doing now. I don't know. It's not that I'm tired of it. In fact, Neil was looking at the menus and saying, "Oh, is that what we're having for dinner that night?" Speaking of Neil, he's our cameraman today.
Hi, everybody.
He's off today on Monday, and he decided he was doing some gardening. So I pulled him in to shoot this. So those of you that don't know who I am, I teach all over the country. In fact, tomorrow I will be teaching on air in Portland, Oregon, 9 o'clock in the morning. So, and I believe it's channel 5. No, channel 2? I think it's channel 2.
Channel 2.
I will put it into the notes in case it's not channel 2. But it's the ABC affiliate there. I'll be doing some stuff for my Fair Foods book that I did a few weeks ago here. Since we can't go to the county fair or the state fair, I'm bringing it to you with my book. So we're doing that. Today we're doing a little bit of appetizer, 3 different bruschettas. And then we're also going to do a white cupcake with fresh strawberry. No, it's not. I'm not going to use fresh strawberries. I'm going to use strawberry jam that I made with fresh berries a couple weeks ago. But bruschettas, we're going to talk about those a little bit and how you can make 3 different kinds. Simple and easy. We're doing a traditional bruschetta, strawberry, and a cherry and plum. So we've got some bold flavors. And the traditional is with tomatoes. And we went to the farmer's market this week and picked up some tomatoes, so they should have some taste. When I do my food tours, which I do food tours of Europe, we have baguettes every day as fresh because the next day that you could hit somebody, they're like a baseball bat. They have no preservatives. And there's laws and rules in every village that one bakery has to be open every day. Does that make sense? So on Sunday, there's at least one bakery open. So 7 days a week, one of the bakeries in town is open. And that's one of their laws because they live by their bread. And the French are so skinny and you kind of wonder, I think it's all the preservatives they throw in our breads. But I took a baguette and made little crispy little toasts and just cut it on the diagonal. What we do in France is we do the same thing the night before, because by morning you won't be able to get a knife through it. So, and I just throw it in the oven 400 degrees to toast it. In France, they don't even use the oven. They just set it outside as long as they don't have cats, which sometimes they do. But I remember we used to do tours of France when we used Julia Child's former house. And there was a cat that liked coming around a lot and we couldn't put the bread outside. So we've got a traditional, a strawberry, and cherry plum. I'm going to do the cherry plum first, but what it is, you're going to take a garlic clove first, and you cut it. This is with all of them. And you're going to take that cut garlic clove and just rub it on the surface, just a little bit. Like it's the essence of just like that. And you do that. Yeah, it has to be a cut side of a clove. These are small cloves, I noticed today. But after you do that, even if you have ones that have been to church, holy ones, you're gonna go ahead and you can pack it with tomatoes and they'll get all over everybody's fingers. Nobody will know. So these are normally 2 bites at the most. Appetizers or aperitifs in France, you do only a 2 bite at the most, and it's something with a little champagne or a little bit of sparkling wine while the chef or the house is getting everything ready. So I've already done some of these. So.
That's why they're skinny. They don't eat a huge plate as appetizers.
No, not like us. That's the other thing when you go on my French tour, which a lot of you watching have been, and I love how they sell potato chips at this one place on the market in Cannes, and we go by and they sell it by the gram, the potato chips, and when you go to somebody's house, you only take one chip. It's not like us where we take a whole handful. So you kind of one little chip and then you eat it and that's it. Only if it's offered to you. It's very picky, those French. But before I take groups, I let them know about all these little idiosyncrasies and little rules. The one rule I think is phenomenal is mostly in the cities, you don't put your trash out unless you are dressed properly. So that means it's not properly like as in Friday jeans and a t-shirt. You'd never be seen in jeans and a t-shirt, even in Paris. So you dress up a little bit. South of France with my tours, we kind of go in jeans and polo shirts is what you do, but nothing really too, it's a little bit more relaxed on the Cape. So anyway, we're doing our first one, and they're all pretty similar, except different ingredients. This one, and I feel like Martha, I have my own cherries that I picked myself. And a few weeks back, you can look at the cherry picking show, because Neil and I and a friend of ours, Jonathan, was out there picking cherries right when they opened up. And that was the first part of June. Then we have a red plum that I've sliced into about 12 slices. And then we have a little bit of granulated sugar, some sea salt, and I'm using the flaky sea salt flakes and Maldon, and it's really, they look like snowflakes, as if I know what those are, because I don't live in the snow country, except about an hour and a half from here, we've got mountains that has skiing, so it's, you can go skiing in the afternoon, and then in the evening you can go surfing at the beach. Then we have ricotta cheese, just some low-fat ricotta cheese, olive oil. Now I'm going to use some flavored olive oils. I'm going to use from Temecula Olive Company, which I've talked about before. And I also get olive oil that in Opio, France. I pick that up when I go over to France. I've got to pick up double the amount this next year. But here it's fresh basil, so they infuse it with basil, and that'll taste really good with these. And then we have some vinegar, and we're going to be using some fresh pomegranate, so it stays with the fruit flavor. And all we do is we slice the baguette like I did, and then we do the garlic. We mince the garlic, and then we're going to add plums and cherries. Now, tasting these, if you think you need some sugar, add a little bit. But you know what? I'm going to add just a few teaspoons of sugar. And not even teaspoons. I'm just going to add a little bit of sugar, probably a teaspoon, on each of them. Even the tomatoes. Just a little bit on the tomato. Then we're going to take our ricotta cheese and we're going to smooth it on each of these. But before I do that, we're going to take, just making sure because I've got 3 different ones. Olive oil. I'm going to take a tablespoon. On this one. And a little bit of balsamic vinegar. Years back, I did tours of Italy, and what you wanted to do if you were looking for a bride, you'd always want to find a winemaker's daughter, not because you'd have wine. It's just when a winemaker has a daughter, they put part of their dowry balsamic vinegar, and they make enough for their lifetime. They have these big casts that they do, and by the time they're 18 years old, it's ready to go. So think of that when you're in Italy and you're thinking of marrying somebody. So there's our little bit there. Now we're going to take our ricotta and smooth it, and I like it kind of nicely looking, just like that. And it's almost like cream cheese. See, by putting the ricotta, it goes over the holy piece. And then we're going to put a couple cherries on each, and it'll stick in the ricotta. And I made enough of those sliced pears, not pears, plums, to do one each. In fact, these 3 plates I'm working on today, they were Julia's. I stole them from France. I really didn't steal them, but I have a lot of different things from Julia's kitchen back when I would take groups there, and the gal that owned it, she's like, I don't need all those plates. I don't need this. Do you want that? And so I would take an empty suitcase with me. Julia left. If you ever read the book about her time in the south of France, and she left, she didn't come back, which I always thought would be neat for her to have gone back. But I worked with her on a number of projects over the years. I did one called Kids in the Kitchen. We went into kind of rough parts of cities, and we taught kids how to make pies. We gave them a rolling pin to go home and a whole pie baked, and now those kids are 25, and I'm thinking, I wonder where they are today. I wonder if they knew they were with somebody like Julia Child. You know, last night I was watching this thing on YouTube, and it was from Good Morning America. And it was these 2 kids that have never heard certain music. It reminds me of my nephew, because he didn't know who Elton John was. And these 2 these 2 guys didn't know either, and they're 21. So what they did, they said that they live in Indiana, maybe you saw it on TV, and they watch and listen only to rap music. So what they did is they started this YouTube channel, and they play other people's music, popular ones. They had Captain Tennille, and while they're listening for the very first time, they let you know what they think of it. And they had never heard Rocket Man from Elton John. And there was a bunch they'd never heard of. Queen, We Are the Champions. And they were so funny, and they've been doing this because they feel that they've only listened to rap music and there's other music set out there, which is really nice that they're broadening.
What'd they think of it, though?
They were, you know what, they were positive in everything they said about everything. Oh, they have Whitney Houston. Now, these 2 boys are African American. They didn't even know who Whitney Houston was. Because I think kids are in a smaller bubble than when we were. Yeah. Because when we were in the car driving somewhere, isolated. We would have to listen to what Dad wanted, and the kids these days. But I thought it was interesting because these 2 guys are so funny. Because the big one was Jolene from Dolly Parton. They were like, she should leave him. You know, they're getting into the lyrics more than most people do. And it was just very, very cute. So anyway, since I'm eating these, I'm not going to put gloves on. I had gloves on earlier when I was doing the peppers, which I'll explain those in a minute. But what I'm doing is doing 2 cherries on each. And then I'm putting a slice of the plum, and then after the slice of plum, I will put a little bit of the salt, and just a few sprinklings of the salt. You've got the sweet and the salty, and you've got the savory of the cheese. So if you get all those flavors at once in your mouth, it just explodes. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to explode your mouth, Neil.
Great. That looks delicious.
Aren't these beautiful?
Yeah.
So we're going to have Neil do a close-up while I'm doing the salt on it. And
beautiful.
So with, see, and just a little bit of salt on each. Get that little bit of salt. It's really kind of nice.
It does look like snowflakes.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Bit of close-up of the salt.
Salt. Salt. Alrighty, so there's our first one. There's our cherry and plum bruschetta. We'll come back to that. Let's go to our strawberry one. I repeat jobs I've had because so many people are new here. But I worked for Driscoll Berries for 10 years as their corporate chef, and we had to come up with savory things to do with the berries a lot. And I did things with filling strawberries with blue cheese, which you get the sweet and the savory with the blue cheese is really good. I think I did it here one day. So what we have is we've got strawberries. Here we're using goat cheese, which you could use that same cheese over there, it doesn't matter, but this one I do goat. We've got olive oil again, and I'm looking because I thought, yeah, I do have basil leaves. And we've got a little bit of balsamic vinegar. This one we're gonna use the apple vinegar. And I'll do a link to Temecula. Like I've said before, they aren't a sponsor yet. They should sponsor me. But I have so much of it. I keep buying it. Every time I go, I think, oh, I need another bottle of that, this or that. So we're gonna take, and I use the term chiffonade a lot with the herbs, with these. And we want to show you how we do this just to make sure it works well. First, when you have these plants, you need to really care for them and get rid of the flower. So if it starts flowering, you want to pluck that. And sometimes we use the flower. So here, oh, the basil smells so good. You're going to get the leaves, the larger leaves. Oh. Oh. See, it's crying. Oh. You think?
Care for your plant while you're tearing it apart.
Yeah. Well, I remember as a kid, we had a pepper tree, and I would pull the pepper tree, and my mom would say, you know, you shouldn't take the leaves off. Because I kept thinking, oh, the little tree's gonna be upset. So, but one day, years ago, we had a bunch of herbs out in the garden, and right when I started doing this, I said, oh, I need some, what was it? It wasn't dill. It was
Chives.
Chives. I said, oh, Neil, I need chives. And I didn't get any. He goes, oh, we got some outside still. And I go, we do? He brings them in. I chop some up. I taste it. It was blades of grass. It looked exactly like chive. Thank goodness we don't have animals out there. Boy. All right, so Neil's going to do a close-up of this, of how I put this together. So you notice all my leaves are close to the same size. Normally, you'd want to go with the largest leaf. And now, if you don't do this, the leaves brown. So I'm stacking them. The largest goes on the outside if you have one that's larger than the rest. Stack about 8 of them, just like that. Then you're gonna roll it up tight. Then you're gonna take your knife, and this point stays down the whole time. So we just go like this. Watch your fingers. I'm pushing it through, and then my last piece. This way, you get these ribbons. Now, by doing this, it will not bruise. Where they will bruise if you just do this. If I just do this, it doesn't look as nice either. And that will turn brown fast, and this will stay like that. If you put a little piece of wet paper toweling, it'll stay for about 5-6 hours. So when you're working in a kitchen, they do this ahead of time because they don't have time to do it earlier. Like I'm doing it in front of you instead of like the strawberries. I cut those already. So tight.
And don't smoke these.
Why would you smoke them?
It's like it looks like you're rolling one of those
Neil.
wacky weeds.
Neil. There you go. So that's how you do it. Don't do it that way. Plus this looks nicer and it'll be on top of things too. So our strawberry French bruschetta, we do the same thing as we're gonna take our goat cheese. Now goat cheese is a little thicker. it's not as soft. So I don't have to take as much and smooth it out. Now, I like it to be kind of smooth. I don't like it. So we do this. Over in France, we go to a cheese place, the Sennery family. It's about the 4th generation cheese sellers. And I've known them since their grandfathers worked there. And now they work there, the kids. And they love the cheeses. It's just, they have more cheeses than the days of the week in France. So we go there on my tour also. And then we do a cheese class one night on the correct way of serving cheese, because Americans, we don't know how to do it correctly. And of course, the French do everything correctly. So after you've done this, you're going to take and put together your strawberries, which the strawberries are strawberries, a little bit of sugar that I've already put in. We've got also the salt. We put a little bit of sea salt, not the flake. The flake salt that I have here, we really only use that for finishing. If we've got a nice piece of salmon, we want to finish it up with a little bit of salt, that's what we do. We don't put it as using it for other items. So with this, we've got our tomatoes and sugar, salt, some pepper, and I'm going to take a larger bowl, because you know how I am with the smaller bowls. 4th of July, we were at our neighbors, and she was commenting on my stuff. She said, my classes here online, she says, who washes the dishes? Because you'll go in and get another bowl. I do. I don't want to fall all over the place. And then we have our olive oil, a tablespoon. Again, where'd my tablespoons go? Oh, I start losing stuff. Tablespoon of olive oil. And then we've got 2 teaspoons of balsamic. Like I said, we're going to use the apple this one. Now this mixture, you can make up ahead in the morning and put them on here later on. You can toast these ahead. You can have the cheese close by ready to go. And we've got our mixture here. And a little bit of the green. We don't want a whole lot yet, because we're going to decorate each one up with it also. Now, like I said, if you have some of the plants that have the little flower on top, cut the flower off and use that as the little bit. So here is our strawberry. And these are beautiful. You want to do a close-up, Neil, of the strawberry? Pack it on as much as you can. That's where, when somebody comes to take one, it goes all over the place. And even if you have a few on the... See, the green plate looks really nice on that, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's falling.
And then what I'll do... Whoop, if any fall... Whoop. And if you want to, instead of basil, you can use mint. It'll be a little sweeter, but you don't have to stick with the basil on this one. The next one is traditional, and you pretty much do. But this you can switch out. And last 2, take a little bit of the basil on top. Now the strawberries do start sweating. You get some liquid because The balsamic and everything is in here, which is nice, glistening. But because they're open now, they've been cut, you'll start getting a little bit of, just like that. My hands have a little bit of, there we go. So there's our strawberry ones. Alrighty. Now our third one, which is traditional. Now, I already did the garlic on there, and we've got some basil left. Now with this, the traditional, we use a jalapeno pepper, and make sure, I'm not going to do this because I already have used gloves or Ziploc baggies you can put your hands into. Everybody should have a box of gloves. I know now most people have been purchasing them, but have some for cooking too. When I do a lot of cake decorating with dye colors and stuff, I want to have the other thing is with these jalapeno peppers, here's a full one. They sell them in a whole bag. So there it is. This is pretty large. Here's the inside. So, Neil, go ahead and get a close-up of the inside because I'm not sure if they can see it all. So after you've cut it, I snip the top and the bottom, then cut it in half, and you get this piece. You want to take all of this out. If you keep this in, and sometimes I'll just take a spoon. I'm trying to do this without using gloves because or a little knife. So you want to take that out. And go in between, pull. All the seeds in this inside part is where a lot of the spice is. If you like it to be that spicy, go ahead and keep that in and chop it up. But it doesn't look as nice with all that. Just scrape it. So, and this is what I did, and I diced it. So that's all you gotta do, okay? So we've got our tomatoes with sugar, garlic, and we have our jalapeno peppers, and we stir that. And we have our basil, where I need to get some more. I thought I chopped enough, but I didn't. So let me get some basil. And then we put all that on. And with this one, I think I'm gonna do the little top pieces. So I'm gonna keep that there. Get a little basil in there. A little salt and sugar. Tomatoes, you know, is a fruit and not a vegetable. So everybody thinks that it's a vegetable. So put that in there. And now this looks really nice with the heirloom tomatoes too, if you have some close by. They should be coming out pretty soon around here. We just started getting peaches, which I'm gonna wait a couple more weeks before. That's the last thing I'm gonna can is peach preserves. I did raspberry and strawberry and cherries, and I was just, you know, you got all this time, and you think, well, why not? I'll just make some preserves. I did orange marmalade. Yeah, it was orange marmalade. Yeah, last year, and I still have a lot left. And one good friend that watches the show, Terry, she texted the other day, "Are you making orange marmalade?" Because it's her favorite, and I think she wants to come over and learn how to make it. But we have to social distance still here in Southern California, which a lot of states. They closed our beaches down over the weekend. I think they reopened today, but you know, I'd rather just stay home. I get mad. I go to the store, I get mad. Idiots. Nobody wants to stay apart. All right, so with this one, you take a little bit of the oil and you drizzle it on each one. So this is a little different. And hold your thumb and just drizzle just a few drops. Or if you have a eye drop, you can do it that way too. You don't want to pour this on top, or just gonna, you want.
Is that the olive oil or the?
That's the olive oil.
The balsamic.
No, that's the olive oil. Balsamic's the smaller ones. Okay, now with this, I'm gonna take and just, if you find the little leaves, the two, before they flower, put that on top. That looks good. But you have to have enough for all of them, so kind of, maybe not, maybe one large leaf, yeah. Either way, it depends, it's nature, so which way. And by the time somebody eats one, it's gonna change the whole thing anyway. And when I had my Christmas party 3 years ago, people were in here in the kitchen taking pictures with some of my stuff. And I thought, why are you taking pictures? Well, this was Julia's, wasn't it? And I said, oh yeah, because I forgot. But the reason why I was talking about those guys with the rap music is because a lot of people don't know who Julia Child is. You know, she's been gone 12 years now?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. I was really honored on her 100th birthday for the Pasadena Heritage. I was invited to be a speaker about Julia at her childhood home. So she was born in Pasadena. So anyway, there's our, see what I was trying here is do the little one, but then I had to do the larger one because I only had a few little ones. So we'll be back and we're gonna be making our cupcakes next. Don't leave. We'll be back. We're back. Bruschettas are done, all three of them. Now we're gonna make some cupcakes. I call these Snow White cupcakes, not because of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's because when you create recipes, you gotta rename them. And I have white cupcakes already. And so this one I thought, Snow White, it's a little different and I know what it is. This one we're using cake flour. It's milled from winter wheat and it doesn't have all of the gluten in it. So that's what we wanna go with. We've got baking powder and salt. And then we've got unsalted butter, room temperature, to where it's a little cool in here, even though it's 90 degrees outside. We keep it about 72, 74, so might have to whip that a little bit. We've got granulated sugar and egg whites. Now the yolks, I'm gonna make a curd probably later on in the week. So then we've got heavy cream, no, cold milk, and a tablespoon of vanilla. I'm gonna put that in the milk so I don't forget it. And this is only a teaspoon, so I need 3. So there's our vanilla. Vanilla's in. And we're gonna take all of our dry ingredients and we'll whisk that, or just fold it around with a spatula. We don't want that baking powder to be on top because it's gonna hit the liquid. Okay, so we put that off to the side. Now we've got our mixer and we're gonna take the butter and put that in. Now I told you it wasn't room temperature, so we're gonna let that mix up a little bit with a little bit of the sugar. Sugar acts as an abrasive on the sides of the bowl. So it's creaming pretty good. So add all the sugar in. And we're building the body of the cake. We don't just dump everything in like a cake mix. That's why you have to take your time when you make cakes. If you're in a hurry, go to the market and get one of those horrible cakes. Cake mix. Cake mixes are so cheap that they have a taste to them. I'll be out and we'll be eating somewhere and they'll say, oh, this cake is really good. And I go, oh, it's cake mix. It's, I know cake mix. I cannot stand. There's a new book I bought and my pet peeve. Magazines, when you're standing there in line at the grocery store and you start looking at them. My pet peeve is the first ingredient being one 18.5-ounce box of cake mix is how they're starting it. There are books on cake mixes and how to doctor them up, but I can't stand when somebody I know has written a book and they start with a cake mix. You can do it from scratch just as easy. So we've got our butter and our sugar, and I won't name that name. They know who they are. Or a magazine, it'll have this beautiful lemon cake on the cover, and it'll say, your first is a lemon tart cake or something. So we're gonna take our eggs and put them in one at a time. We have 6 egg whites, and we want it to whip up. We're using the paddle attachment. We only use the whip attachment when it's liquid, like egg whites and whipped cream. So we do about 6. And halfway through, we might just scrape the edges, just to make sure we're... Now it will look coagulated. It won't look right until you get everything in there, just to let you know. But that's 2, 3, 4 or 5 will be good. I said we're making the body of our cake this way. Then what we're going to do is all of our eggs are in, our butter's in, our sugar's in. We don't use the yolks because we want to stay white looking. We have our liquid here and our flour mixture here. And we're gonna start with the flour and end with the flour. So we're gonna do 3 flours and 1 wet. Do you understand what I meant?
Yeah.
Neil doesn't cook, so if I get that okay, he understands. I said this in like Dayton, Ohio. They couldn't figure that out. They're like, how many? So scrape the sides. Get all the, and then we will go with about 1/3 of the flour. Do it on slow, or everybody gets to have flour all over them.
Like Casper.
So as soon as that blends up, so again, we're just doing the body of the cake. And we're gonna do half of the milk. About. And then we're gonna do the second third of the flour, which is half of what's left. I turn it off for the flour, so I can get it in there. You don't have to be precise. It's just around. I had somebody ask me how many cups is it so they could be precise. No, just do it.
It's scary for the lay person, that's why.
I think they think we've got secrets, and I tried to tell you all the secrets I can. And then we're gonna do the rest of the milk. I use whole milk because we want it to be a rich cake. We don't have any eggs in it really, we've got the egg whites, so this way. And before I put that last flour, I'm gonna scrape the sides. Now, I've been doing a lot of pound cake batters, and this one is runny, so you'll see that it's a lot different. Did I get some in the front? Neil. Hardly any.
Well, the front of the mixer too.
It was all the baking powder. Just on slow. And we've got 24 cupcake liners. We've got our portioner. And then I will scrape it by hand one last time. And this goes in the oven only about 22 minutes, I think. Yeah, 15 to 22. Then we're gonna do a really good strawberry buttercream. Now, I'm going to use the same paddle and everything so I don't have to wash it if I clean it good enough. So we'll put this off to the side for a sec. And scrape the bowl. Make sure we got everything. Sometimes the dead bottom will have a little bit of flour, so I'm just checking to make sure it's all clean. And if you want, you can put some lemon zest into this to make it a lemon. So let's do flat scoops. The reason why we do this so we have the same size cupcakes. We don't have some with big domes on it. And it's a lot easier and faster than trying to pour this in or take a teaspoon and do it. And this is how we do it in bakeries. You should get about 24, maybe a little more. Let's see. Now, I was watching a show one day recently, and people were like, why are the cupcake craze was so big instead of full cakes? Well, right now, if you look at it, this is a cake mix size. It makes 2 9-inch rounds. Well, cupcake stores are selling each cupcake for $3 to $4.50. So if you get 24 times $3.50, how much is
That's
that?
like $75.
$75. No one will buy a full cake for $75. And it's the same ingredients. It does take a little longer to scoop these, but not that much longer. So there was more profit in a cupcake store than there was in there's a little bit left. I'll put off to the side. So we're gonna bake these and we'll be back when they come out of the oven. No, I'm gonna bake these and we'll be back to make our icing. Our cupcakes came out of the oven and look how white they are. That's what we want. So now we're gonna let them cool. I turned the oven off so there's no heat coming up. We've got a cup of butter, and a lot of buttercreams they use shortening, and if you whip this enough you won't get that yellow part of the butter, so you'll be all right. So we're gonna put that in, and then we've got a little bit of vanilla, so I'm gonna add that right now so I don't forget. Can you tell I forget vanilla sometimes? That's why I'm doing it right now, so I don't forget. Powdered sugar, heavy cream, just a little bit. That's the variable. Then we have my strawberry preserves that I made that are so good that I like to just eat it. And we're getting about a 1/4 cup of that. So making sure our butter's nicely wet. Then we're gonna add all of our, again, we use the paddle. Crazy how many people I see even on TV using the whip. The whip is the #1 item to be replaced on a KitchenAid because they break. You should only have something liquid in there. So anyway, Neil's gonna do a close-up so you can kind of see what this is looking like. And it looks kind of dry. The butter's on the edges. And if I go really high, you won't be able to see anything because it'll be dusty looking. So at this point, I'll add a few tablespoons of the cream. Okay, it's coming together. Now it starts cleaning you start seeing the metal of the bowl. You need to get air into it. So I might just add and the bottom has a little dryness, so let me just add a little bit on the bottom. And then I bring the speed up to where I can get, all we're doing is adding air into it now. I'll scrape the sides down and then put it back at that high speed so you can get the air And the air is what will lighten it up also. And then I will put my strawberry preserves into it. Oh yeah, I'll pour it in a cup with some milk. See how it gets a lot of. Now the other thing is this isn't going to be a strawberry red color. And if you're looking for the red color, you'll have to add it yourself with food coloring. I was trained and taught to stay natural, so it still has a nice color to it, but it's not a pink for a little party. You've got a few chunks of strawberries in there. I might add one more, but it's a beautiful color though, I think.
I must say that the icing looked whiter in person than it did on the camera, and it also looks pinker in person than it does on the camera. So it looks very pink.
So the color's off on the camera. Scrape the edges down. With a little bit more. And I think that's enough. So the strawberries, now you use the preserves because they're more concentrated and they're thick. If I did strawberries fresh in here, I would have a problem because there's so much water in a berry where you'd have chunks of water and the icing wouldn't stay looking like an icing. You'd have all these different strange, and you don't want that. So you want this to be as icing it like as possible. But yeah, this has a very light pink color to it. It doesn't have a real bright pink, which it's more natural. So we are going to take a pastry bag to pipe this out as soon as those cupcakes are cool. If they aren't cool and you pipe it out, you're going to have it melted. Timer's done. You're going to have melted icing. So we're going to be back when those cupcakes are done, and then we can ice them up. We'll be back. So cupcakes are out. They've cooled, I hope enough. Neil ate one already. How was it, Neil?
It was really delicious.
Could you taste the strawberry?
I could. It was
Yeah.
really good.
So we're just gonna take icing and go around each one. You wanna do a close-up, Neil? And I'll just squirt, swirl, squirt, swirl. And then I've got a half of a strawberry. Now, if you don't have a half of a strawberry, you can take a little bit of that strawberry preserves. But I tried to cut them so I had some green on it, so it looked good. Just like that. Then you have all of your strawberries on your cakes. Then they know what flavor it is. But the cake itself is just white. And when you cut the strawberries, the way to cut them is go from the top through the green. So you make sure you've got half of the green on each side. You might have to peel it apart. And there are your cupcakes. So we'll be back with everything else and show you what we did today. So Monday, we survived. And just to recap, we did our bruschetta, the traditional. Then we have our strawberry, which it has a sweetness to it, but we've got that cheese on the bottom. And then we have our plum and cherries that I picked myself. And then we have our white cupcakes with our lemon preserves, not lemon, strawberry preserves. And I keep wanting to call it a lemon. I saw somebody making lemonade cupcakes, and all it was lemon, but they called them lemonade. So You could do strawberry lemonade and put lemon zest in here. That's what I was thinking of. So anyway, we'd like to thank you so much for joining us today on Monday. We'll see you tomorrow, Tuesday, where we're going to roast a whole chicken. We're going to teach you how to do the whole chicken. It's the simplest thing to do. But when I was shopping, when the pandemic started, you only could buy 2 things, and they only had chicken and ribs. So I bought 2 chickens and threw 1 in the freezer. So we're going to pull that one out and work on it tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. Take care. Thanks. Have a great day.